Right, today we'll have a look at trial and improvement. Trial and improvement is a topic which may come up in paper 2 in the summer. This particular question came up in the November paper 2 years ago. Obviously, it's going to be with a calculator, as you see from some of the numbers in a minute, and it tends to be worth 4 marks, and I'll show you where they came from. Trial and improvement is a topic that I definitely suggest learning. The reason for that is that it tends to be quite standard in terms of the question they can ask you. Okay, the equation will change, but the steps that you take to get to the final answer are always basically the same. The first tip I'm going to give you with the calculator is that if you look at the equation, so in this case it's x cubed minus 7x minus 2, the first thing I'd like you to do, and the first thing I do, which is going to make it easier for you in the long run, is everywhere you see an x, you want to replace with a bracket sign. Okay, so what I mean by that is everywhere you see an x, replace with a bracket sign, and at the moment in them brackets we're not going to write any numbers. Okay, we'll come back and put the numbers in. I'm just setting up the equation. Okay, so you can see that that equation in that yellow box looks exactly like the one that's written on the question. And just a little note, that little 3 at the top, you can get that by using the x cubed button on your calculator. Okay, so that's just typing in the equation from the question. Next step then is pretty standard. You always set up a table. On the left hand side we're going to have x. This is just going to be the numbers that we try to find this solution. In the middle, and you notice I've highlighted the question now, is going to be whatever that equation is. So I've copied the equation, and on the right hand side we've got high slash low. What it's basically saying in this equation is this number, whatever it is, okay, we don't happen to know at the moment. We're not going to get the exact answer. We're just going to sort of estimate it reasonably. This number, that when I cube it, and then I take away 7 lots of it, and I take away 2 from that, I should get something close to 0. Okay, so I'm searching for this number, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to try random numbers, and then I'm going to improve it as I go by looking at whether my answer is high or low. The first part of it, and it will always give you this little hint. You've noticed I've highlighted 2 and 3. If it didn't tell me 2 and 3, it would be pretty difficult for me to start. Okay, I could try 0, I could try 10, I could try 100. I wouldn't really have a clue where the answer was going to be about. So WJEC, the board that use it, always happens to give a little hint. It says the answer lies between 2 and 3. So somewhere between 2 and 3, we're going to find that when we put it into this equation, we're going to get something that equals 0. First step, to get your first marks, all you need to do is use these 2 numbers. So when x is 2, and I've written it there, I'm going to type that into the equation. So using the cursor button on your calculator now, don't delete the display. Using the cursor button, just like you would on a text message on a phone, go back, and everywhere between them brackets, I want you to type in 2. So you should have now something on your calculator which reads open brackets 2, close brackets, cube sign, minus 7, open brackets 2, close brackets, minus 2. Press the equals button, and you should get minus 8. Now we want the answer to equal 0, it says at the end of the equation. Minus 8 is obviously less than 0, is too low. So I'm just going to write in there low. Same thing again now, but this time with the other answer they've possibly given us, 3. And without deleting the display again, all I'm going to do is I'm going to press the little cursor button to go back, and everywhere that there's a 2 that I put in place from last time, I'm going to press the yellow delete button, and I'm going to type in 3. So you should have 3 cubed minus 7 brackets 3 minus 2. When you type that in and you press equals, you should get the answer of 4. And next to that, then you notice I've written high. Okay, 4 is obviously too much because we want 0. Them 2 steps get you your first mark. Now the next step is for realizing that 3 is too high, 2 is too low. So I'm just going to try dead in the middle between them 2 numbers. So next step, 2.5. Again, I'm going to use the cursor button on my calculator. I'm going to go back, and this time everywhere that I typed in 3, I'm going to press delete, and I'm going to type in 2.5. And you should get the answer of minus 3.875. And that is too low. Okay, it's a negative number, so automatically we know it's too low, it's lower than 0. Just a little hint, if when you type in 2.5 to that equation, you get a fraction as your answer, you need to press the little S to D button on your calculator. Right, so 2.5 is too low. We want to get closer to 0. So to make the answer bigger, because at the moment it's too low, we need to make this number slightly higher. So I'm going to go the one up from 2.5. I'm going to go to 2.6. Again, I'm going to go back and type it into my display. And I'm going to get the answer of minus 2.624. This again is too low, but you'll notice that even though it's too low, I am actually getting closer to this 0. Okay, so I am going in the right direction. I'm getting closer to this 0. Again, I'm going to go up. I'm going to try 2.7. I get minus 1.217. This is too low, but I am getting closer and closer each time I do it to that 0. I'm going to keep going up. I'm going to try 2.8. Right, now 2.8, I get 0.352 as my answer, and this is slightly too high. So I've got 2.7, which is too low, 2.8, which is too high. My next step is going to be to go between these two. Okay, so when I find a point, one which is too low, and then the next one I go up or down, which is too high, then I know my answer is going to be one of these two. Okay, so ultimately my answer will either be 2.7 or 2.8, because in the question it says to 1 decimal place. But I've got to take one more step to prove which one it is. And how I do that, I pick the number between 2.7 and 2.8, and I'm going to test it to see which one the answer lies closer to. So 2.75, I'm going to type that into that equation. So go back, edit it, type in 2.75 cubed minus 7 times 2.75 minus 2. You're going to get the answer of minus 0.453125, sorry. And that is going to be low because it's a negative number. Okay, so we've proved that 2.75 is too low. So now I can pick which one out of 2.7 and 2.8 I want the answer to be to 1 decimal place. Now, I always used to find it helpful to draw a little number line to help me pick which one I'm going to choose. You may not need that, but I'll show you anyway. Right, so on this number line, the left-hand side I've labelled 2.7. The right-hand side I've labelled 2.8, and in the middle I've labelled 2.75. Underneath then I've written what I know about them. So 2.7 is too low, 2.75 is too low, and 2.8 is too high. Now I'm going to try and pick which one I want to choose from 2.7 and 2.8 to 1 decimal place. 2.75 is too low. So if you were thinking about it now, if I wanted to go further on to get this answer exact, the gap that I'd want to choose is between 2.75 and 2.8, okay? And the reason is we've got one low and one too high, so the answer is somewhere in the middle there. So I'd be choosing that gap there. So I am closer to the 2.8 end than I am to the 2.7 end. Last part then, x equals 2.8. Okay, so that's where the 4 marks come from. The first mark for just trying out the two numbers they give you. The second mark for finding where one is too low and the next one is too high. So 2.7 and 2.8 basically in this case. The third mark, and you have to show this even if you think it's obvious which one you're going to choose. You have to show it to get the third mark. It's for picking between them 2 points, so 2.75. And then the last mark is for picking what answer and writing down the solution to the equation. So I've said x equals 2.8. Okay, so summarising, all you need to remember is set up your equation on your calculator. It's going to save you a lot of time towards the end. First step, put in the numbers they've given you to the equation. One should always be too low and one should be too high. That will get you 1 mark. And then from there on in, you need to just evaluate as you go. Do I need to, if the answer is too low, I need to go higher. If the answer is too high, obviously I need to go lower. Okay. And that should prepare you for almost any trial and improvement question they can ask you.